So, my thoughts on the weekend's boxing. Well, I'll start with Jack Catterall versus Regis Prograis. And for me, I was really impressed by Jack Catterall. It takes a really tough man, a really good boxer, to be behind. And I thought Jack Catterall was behind about the 8th round before he turned it on and had a second wave. But it's often a sign that it's a really good boxer when he is behind and then he can come back into the fight and win it. Look at Daniel Dubois, for example. He took beatings in that first 2 rounds against Hrgovic. He went on to win the fight. Same with Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller, huge guy, kept walking forward, put shots onto him. He got a second win in the later rounds and finished him. So I was really impressed with Catterall. As I said, takes a strong fighter to come back from behind. You know, he got dropped. I mean, a very light. No, I think he was hurt, but it was a light knockdown. But the fact that he didn't dispute it shows that I think he might have been a bit hurt. And, you know, to give Regis Prograis some credit, I was impressed by Regis Prograis. I wasn't sure what version of Regis Prograis was going to turn up because, you know, I think we all know there's a really good fighter in Regis Prograis. You know, he went to war with Josh Taylor, and if the fight was in America instead of England, he probably would have won it on the judges' scorecards because they sort of like different things. But obviously that performance against Haney was very underwhelming, you know, to not win a round, you know, against Haney when you're the champion and he's moving up. It's definitely disappointing. I remember he said in an interview he wasn't actually that bothered by the Haney performance because he knew that it just wasn't him on the night. He just wasn't there mentally. It was the Josh Taylor fight that hurt him more because when you're at your best and you still don't win, you know, that can be even more painful. But yeah, I thought Prograis looked good. You know, he turned up to fight. Those first 6 rounds are very competitive. I think after those heavy knockdowns was it the 8th or the 9th round? You know, it was a 10-7 round. It was one heavy knockdown. He got back up. It was a second heavy knockdown. Prograis just couldn't get himself together after that, I don't think. And you could see at the end there were some worrying signs. You know, his legs were all over the place. His face was doing sort of odd ticks. His movement was a bit staccato. That's often signs that he maybe have some neurological problems after the fight. So yeah, I was definitely a bit concerned seeing Prograis at the end of the fight. You know, his legs are very wobbly as well, but I think he just didn't recover from those 2 knockdowns from Catterall. But yeah, all in all, it was a pretty exciting fight. I thought the scorecards were a bit wide. Maybe 114, 111-ish would have been a fairer result and given a bit more credit to Prograis, who was in that fight. And as I said, I thought he was winning going into round 8. But all in all, it was an exciting fight. I thought the best man won, and it's looking like for Catterall, it's going to be the winner of Harrow versus Hutchinson for a title, which would be exciting. You know, that would be our third British. I think that's the third current British champion at the moment, I believe. What, Daniel Dubois and Nick Ball? Oh, Chris Smith. So the 4th. Will be the 4th British champion. So that'd be exciting. Another big name in British boxing. I feel like bad for Jack Catterall because he really should be undefeated, you know. I think he'd get a lot more respect from people if he had that undefeated record, which he deserves. But nonetheless, you know, that's 3 world champions he's now defeated. Well, former world champions, Josh Taylor, Linares, and now Prograis. So, you know, a great record. Things are spicing up. He's a difficult southpaw. The future's bright for him, and I think he's good. As I said, it takes a real fighter to come back from behind and win the fight. The only other fight that caught my interest on the card was Jimmy Joe versus Campbell Hatton. The point I was making in the preview to this fight was, I don't know how much Campbell Hatton has suffered in life, you know? He probably grew up rich, comfortable. It's that old saying, how do you get out of bed in silk pajamas? Is he hard enough? Is he tough enough? Has he been through enough, you know, suffering in his life to get in the ring and fight? You know, when you get hit in the face, when things get difficult, can you fight back, you know? You know, I look at Jimmy Joe and I think, right, that's a tough bastard, you know. I'm sure he's been through things in life. Boxing predominantly a lower class sport, you know, I'm sure he's tough. He probably knows what poverty is like, being poor, having nothing. And I think that toughens you mentally makes you a good boxer. But for Campbell Hatton, I was like, I'm just not sure if you've mentally suffered enough to be a good boxer. And look, I don't want to be too hard on the kid because, you know, boxing's a dangerous sport and it's a difficult sport. So to come into it when you've got no real need for the money is impressive. And I do give Campbell Hatton credit, but I just don't think he's got the power, the endurance. He sort of can't quite dig deep in those last rounds to become a top professional. You know, you've lost to a Southern Area title twice now, so if you're even thinking about a world title, it's miles off, right? And with a top trainer like Ben Davidson as well, you still couldn't get a Southern Area title. I think he's got two options. I heard G-Man saying that he can just go on a lot of small hall shows, build up your resume. You know, no one's going to be watching you on these small hall shows. Your name's out of the media. You can just focus on your craft. Or, what I think he should do, I mean, it kind of depends on what he wants. If he wants to focus on just boxing purist, being a professional boxer, he should go the small hall route. But if he wants to make more money, win more, and potentially have easier fights, he should probably go down the Misfits route. You know, Hatton is a great name to have on these Misfits card. I'm sure he can beat a lot of these influencer boxers. He'll be getting paid loads more money. He'll probably get more respect. He'll get more clout. So for me, if he wants that, I think he should definitely go down the Misfits route. Like, something that's always astonished me in this boxing world is like the clout of Tommy Fury. You know, he's more of a celebrity than a boxer. And I think the main media don't realise that he's not a very good boxer. With all respect to him, he's a good influencer boxer, but not a good professional boxer. You know, he's never fought for a title. And he really fought journeyman. You know, he'd get slapped up by Vidal Riley, I think. And he's always tried to avoid that fight whenever Vidal's name has been mentioned. But look at how much status Tommy has. You know, he's rich. He gets all these interviews from the media, and I can't understand why. It's like, all he's really done is been on Love Island and beat Jake Fury in a close fight once. I'm like, how is he getting this much clout? You know, he's got a book out. He drives the G-Wagon. You know, he's rich. I mean, he did fumble Molly May, which is a bit crazy, but, you know, if Campbell Hatton wants to go down the Misfits route, I probably respect it, you know? You get more money, you probably win, easier opponents. So I think his is the decision to make. But again, I don't want to be too hard on Campbell Hatton, you know? It takes bravery to choose to do a sport like boxing when you don't really need it. And I respect the balls it takes to get in the ring. And yeah, he must be going through a difficult time right now. Maybe his management need to take some sort of responsibility for the loss, because having no fights in between is a bit crazy. You know, I think he needed to go 10 rounds, 12 rounds with some hardened journeyman, I reckon. Just get some rounds under your belt. Test what your gas tank is like in the later rounds, because that's where he falls off, but it's where he needs to build it up. But yeah, as you said, he clearly loves a scrap. He's got a fan base. He's got a good name behind him. So I think it's up to him. He can go Misfits, or he can continue in the small hall scene for a bit. But either way, I wish him the best. And yeah, future's looking bright for Jack Catterall. Regis Prograis, maybe at the end of his career. He's 35 now. The only other talking point was that some people were saying that he was wearing this weird sort of hybrid trainers / boxing boots, and some people think that they were affecting his movement a bit. You know, they look cool, but they're not traditional boxing boots. Again, this is probably just speculation because his legs were gone by like round 9, but Devin Haney was wearing them as well against Ryan Garcia, and yeah, they didn't really seem to be much help in either fight. So I think if there are any boxers out there, maybe stick to the traditional boxing boots, even if they're not quite as, you know, sexy as these sort of hybrid boxing boots / trainers. But yeah, there's my review of the weekend's action. There's not too much on, I think, not for a little while. I think November the 10th-ish, I think Chris Billam-Smith versus Ramirez is the next title fight, I believe. I did have a look earlier, maybe I've missed one out. But yeah, a bit of a quieter while for now in the world of boxing, but I'm sure we'll get some outbursts from Fury, Joshua, Usyk, Dubois, these guys. On that, I think it sounds like AJ's waiting for Usyk Fury 2 to see what happens there. But yeah, there is my review of the weekend's boxing. Please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps my channel out, which I'm trying to grow. So yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.